I'd argue disability is the heart of the matter, and there is no single source, no single better source for your future innovation efforts than a deep dive in understanding the needs of those with disabilities. And I'll just linger there for a second. Think about that. Most of you, who here isn't connected to design in some form or fashion? A good portion. Anyone in technology? More and more technology is the great equalizer, right? So imagine the Internet of Things, imagine wearables. Imagine, if you will, I'll just give you one daily living activity. How many do their own grocery shopping? We probably take that for granted, and most of us can't stand the activity, right? But now I can put on a pair of Google glasses, order an Uber ride, show up at a major grocery store, and do my own shopping, get back in the Uber, and go home. What kinds of activities do folks like to do in the room? Just give us a couple of activities, recreational activities that you like to do. Anyone? Cycling. Any rock climbers? Hikers? How about one more activity? Rowing? Okay. Daily living skills, anything you might do around the house? Cooking? Cleaning? What kind of work? Give me a few professions of folks in the room. Musician? Engineering?
Architect.
So would anyone here be surprised if I told you there's not one item you mentioned that you shouldn't be able to do if you're blind or visually impaired? Not one. But most of us as designers don't generally linger long enough in that space to imagine how it can be done. So I'd argue in the cities of the future, anyone with a disability has the right and the opportunity to do all of those things you just described. Most of you consider those your fundamental right. I love to hike, damn it, I'm going to hike. I want to ride a bike, I ought to be able to ride a bike. We have activities for kids, rock climbing, blind kids doing rock climbing, tandem bicycling, pottery. We're working with a major grocery store chain now to use IRA glasses with a lens and a remote agent so that you could do nearly any job in a grocery store and shop in any aisle of a grocery store even though you're completely blind. The world's changing. ADA said basic accommodation. I'm suggesting to you that when you design for the city of the future, you lean in and design for the few, not for the many. That you don't apply universal design practices and think about how many of the 99% we can get. You start with the 1%. Because in that 1%, in that deep dive on diversity and those special needs, really interesting niche opportunities come up that drive the future of innovation. And then test that against the needs of the many. I'd suggest to you that we could linger a lot longer in empathy, not just have that one person out of 100 that might be blind, bring as many folks as we can with a range of disabilities into the design process, and linger there. Don't do a survey, do ethnographic research. Really observe and understand how they live their lives and tease out those kinds of interesting tidbits, because those are the things you weave into your new products, your new technology. We worked with a local startup company called Sunu. Sunu just makes a product that looks like a Fitbit with haptic feedback on your wrist. And as you walk, it just provides either faster or slower vibration. So imagine a kid who's trying to figure out how to navigate their world with a white cane now uses a Fitbit type device to give them feedback. How psyched are they, right? They're just like you and I. They got something on their wrist. They're using Apple Watches with voiceover. They're living in a world just like you and I. And I think that's the heart of the matter for a lot of us, right? We all want to be the same, and we want to celebrate our differences. And if you're blind or you have another disability, we're really looking for the same opportunity. We want you to treat us special long enough to understand what we need, but then treat us like everyone else. We want to have the iWatch, and we want to have the new wearable technology because we want to be cool just like the rest of you. I remember at Perkins School for the Blind, I worked there for 10 years, and for 60 years there was one mechanical braille writer, steel gray, Some of you may have seen it. Braille is a 6-dot code. 60 years, the design never changed. And only one color, like a Model T, gray. The argument for it being one color, what would you guess? They can't see the color, right? And so no one wanted to use it, even though it was the only product they had, because it wasn't cool colors. And so the big innovation, thankfully before I arrived at Perkins, was to add color to a Perkins Brailler, right? In hindsight, how absurd is that? Now you can get a smart Brailler. When you hit the keys, it tells you what it's doing. You hit the keys for C, and it says C. And you spell C-A-T, and it says cat. And the parents can see it on a cell phone display. And now kids and parents and teachers in a cohort can learn together. And I think more and more technology is going to be the great equalizer in how folks with disabilities interact with their world, so long as designers like yourself spend a whole lot more time lingering in empathy and designing for the few. And that's my spiel.
That is our human lens as we're thinking about the generations that we're going to be designing for. And we're going to so one more round of applause for all of you guys.